In this video, we're going to show you how to install front and rear disc brakes on a Nissan 350Z. Begin assembly by bolting the rotor to the hat through the back side of the rotor using the supplied washers and bolts. The hat to caliper bolts should be coated with red Loctite 271 and tightened in an alternating sequence to 85 inch-pounds using an inch-pound torque wrench. Remove the front wheel and loosen the bolt holding the stock caliper. Remove the bracket for the brake line and then remove the brake line from the spindle upright. Disconnect the stock caliper from the bracket and remove. Use a coat hanger or piece of wire to suspend the stock caliper until ready to disconnect the brake line. Remove the bolts holding the rotor to the spindle and then use the longer bolt to push it away from the spindle flange. Then remove the rotor. Clean the area where the new hat will sit on the hub flange. Cut off and remove the dust shield using either a plasma cutter or 4-inch angle grinder with the cutting wheel. Smooth any sharp edges with a flap disc or a file. Slide the supplied washers and bolts through the mounting bracket. The provided shims go between the caliper bracket and the spindle. This will allow the caliper to be perfectly centered over the rotor. We're starting with 3 shims and will add or subtract shims to achieve the desired position. The caliper bracket is mounted flat against the spindle using the original caliper mounting bolt holes. Secure with the provided nuts and tighten squarely against the side of the spindle body. Install the assembled hat and rotor to the hub flange using the lug nuts. Wrap Teflon tape around the inlet fitting. Insert the inlet fitting into the caliper and tighten. Slip the caliper onto the rotor and install the provided washers and lock nuts. Make sure the caliper is centered over the rotor, and then tighten and torque the lock nuts. Slide the brake pads into place. Install and center the bridge pad spacer and the bridge bolt. Now tighten the bridge bolt. Remove the spring clip that secures the flexible line to the frame bracket. Take the new Wilwood stainless steel brake line and attach it to the caliper, making sure it's the proper length. Disconnect the factory flex line from the hard line and immediately connect the Wilwood line to reduce spillage. Tighten, snug, and reinstall the spring clip. Once the new line is installed, you can remove the old caliper and brake line. Begin assembly by bolting the rotor to the hat through the back side of the rotor using the supplied washers and bolts. The hat to caliper bolt should be coated with red Loctite 271 and tightened in an alternating sequence to 85 inch-pounds using an inch-pound torque wrench. Remove the rear wheel and disconnect the stock caliper and set aside. Remove the stock rotor and hat. Leave the stock parking brake drum in place. Clean the area where the new hat sits on the hub flange. Mark the dust shield for removal. Cut off the dust shield using a plasma cutter or 4-inch angle grinder using a cutoff wheel. Slide the bolts and washers through the caliper mounting ears. Add 3 shims initially to position the bracket. Install the bracket from the rear side of the hub and tighten. Be sure to center before torquing. Add or remove shims per the datasheet. Add 2 of the provided shims to the bracket for vertical positioning. Attach the hat and rotor and secure with lug nuts. Position the new Wilwood caliper over the rotor. Add or subtract the provided shims to center the caliper. Secure with the provided washer and nuts. Tighten and torque. Slide the brake pads into place and install the quick clip pad retainer. Remove the spring clip that secures the flexible line to the frame bracket. Disconnect the factory flex line from the hard line and immediately connect the Wilwood line to reduce spillage. Tighten snug and reinstall the spring clip.